Okay, so in the demo session, we have already
Okay.
discussed about like the introduction of conscious security plus things. Now let's move to the first domain of security plus, which is threat attacks and vulnerabilities. So this one is the domain. Actually, security plus is like a kind of basic certification. It is like a foundational certification. So whatever we are going to discuss, those are all the basic concepts, but the important concepts which you needed to get started with the cybersecurity. So we will discuss about many concepts which are some are familiar and some are new to you. Okay, so we will start from the basics. So first one we have the information definition, the security information, like the definition of information security. So the definition says act of protecting data and information from unauthorized access, unlawful modification, and disruption, disclosure, corruption, and destruction. So basically, what we are trying to protect. So we are trying to protect two things. First, information, and second, information systems. The information itself, which is known as data, and information system, which is storing your data. Okay. Now, whenever we talk about data, we have three kinds of data, or we can say we have to protect data in three states. Okay. So basically, we have to protect data in three states. First is data at rest. Second is data at motion. And third is data at transit. Okay, which we can say data in transmission. See, whenever we talk about data or security of data, we cannot say we have to secure data only in one state. If you are applying the security in any company, so this means you are applying the data, you are applying the security of data in every state. So first is data at rest. So whatever data is, data at rest means it is stored somewhere. Let's say it is stored in the hardware. It is stored in the software, like in any software, like in the cloud services. It can be stored in your pen drive, in your hard disk, in your SSDs, in your servers, anywhere. So data is at rest. So whenever we are storing the data, we are ensuring that data should be protected from every attack. Okay. Now, then we have data at motion. So data at motion is like whenever we are using the data, or we can say in motion, we can say in use. So whenever we are using the data, let's say there's a system, and inside the system you are using some kind of stuff, like you are using some data for your own use. Now your data is now processing in the RAM memory of your system, RAM, in the stacks, in the queues, etc. So now your data is in use. So you're using your data. So now we are ensuring that whenever we are using the data, that should be protected. Like, for example, like no one can fetch data from your RAM. No one can illegally, in an unauthorized way, can fetch your data from the RAM. That is in use. So whenever we are using the data in a particular system, that should be in a protected state. Then in transit, which is in transmission, when we are transmitting data from one place to another. Okay, let's say you are transmitting data from user A to user B. So whenever we are transmitting data over the cables or over the internet, that should be secure. Okay. So remember, whenever we are talking about data security, that should be in three states. First, data at rest, data at in use, or we can say at motion, and data at transit, which is data in transmission. When we are transferring data from one place to another. Okay. So our definition says that act of protected data and information, which is same, from unauthorized access. Unlawful modification, like we are ensuring that no one can modify our data, no one can access our data, which is any unauthorized access, any unlawful or unauthorized modification and disruption, which is in the availability of data and disclosure of the information, corruption of data and destruction. So we are ensuring these stuff. See, in the information security or in the cyber security, we have a base rule. Like if someone asks, like, what kind of security you want to apply, or like why applying security, what do you want to ensure? So we can say, I want to ensure the CIA, which is, I think you all heard of. It is a confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data. Confidentiality means we are ensuring that no one can read your data. Okay, no one can read and understand your data. Integrity means no one can modify your data. Okay, and availability means your data should be available for every user. Okay, like for every authorized user in a at a given period of time, and without any latency, means without any disruption. Okay. So information system security is act of protecting the systems that hold and process our critical data. That is clear. Like what is information security and what is information system security. Which is like we are protecting the information system as well. Then CIA trade is all about, it is a base rule of cybersecurity, or we can say CIA is the pillar of cybersecurity. Okay, basically we have some more pillars that we will discuss later, but for now, these are known as pillars of cybersecurity. So whenever we are applying this like security anywhere, so we have to ensure these three pillars. First, confidentiality, which is unauthorized disclosure of the information. Integrity is like unauthorized modification of the data, and availability is like your data should be available. So these are the three pillars of cybersecurity. For example, let's say there's user A, okay, and there's user B. Now, user A and user B are communicating. So let's say user A is transmitting something, let's say any kind of message. Now, in the confidentiality, we are ensuring that no one can read or understand my message. So this can be ensured by using encryption, right? So see, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, these are the concepts of the cybersecurity. These are not the solutions. These are just concepts. Okay. So confidentiality, integrity, and availability, these are the concepts. Now, how to achieve these concepts, or how to fulfill these, or how to ensure these concepts? For this, we ensure we use the techniques, right? For example, encryption, digital signatures, etc. That we will discuss later. But for now, like CIA trade, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability, are the concepts. These are the base concepts of the cybersecurity. Okay, okay, okay. I'm sorry. Actually, I was not aware about that you are all new to security. So let's go slow. So there's one more thing, which is security. See, cyber security, we can say, or we can say information security. Anything. So cybersecurity or information security basically are same only. Or we can say cybersecurity is a concept which we can theoretically apply, and information security is the concept which we can practically apply. Basically, both are same. And cybersecurity is more like a domain of the IT field. Okay, it is the domain of IT field. So cybersecurity is like protecting your data and protecting your information and protecting different things at different levels. Information security is all about protecting. It is like actual implementation of the cybersecurity that we can say. Okay, so just remember, cybersecurity is more like a domain, and it is a theoretical concept, or it is a theoretical perspective of seeing the things. And information security is all about a practical implementation of a cybersecurity. So information security is all about protecting the information, which is also known as data. Okay, and information systems. So information is all about our data. Whatever your data is in the form of any file, in the form of any message, in the form of any PDF, in the form of any videos, images. These are all data only. right? Information only. Information systems are like the systems which are storing your data, the systems which are storing your data, the systems which are processing your data, and the systems which are like transmitting your data from one place to another. Okay, so that is information systems. So before securing the data, we have to ensure we should secure the information systems. Okay. So basically, we can say both are very both are equally important in the cyber security, information and information systems. Like both are equally important. So now there's a question how we can basically secure the information or the information system. Like how we can ensure that, like from our side, from the company side, as an employee of the company, or as like as an individual, how we can ensure that we are securing the company, or we are securing the information, or we are securing the information systems. So this is all about, this is what we can achieve using CIA trade. Okay, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Okay, so confidentiality is all about, let's say you are sharing a data. Let's say there's a user A, there's a user B. Now let's say you are sharing a message. Let's say you are sharing hi, or let's say any password, 12345. Let's say this is my password. Now I am sharing my password to you. Okay, like for any purpose. Okay, so for any reason. So let's say I am sharing the message. Let's say the user A is sharing the message to user B. Now here we are ensuring in the confidentiality that no one can read my data. No one can read and or we can say understand my data. So let's say there's an attacker sitting in the middle of user A and B. This attacker. Okay. This attacker is sitting in the middle of user A and user B. Now this attacker is like uh, analyzing everything, like analyzing a request, analyzing a response, and analyzing a data, which is this attacker is sitting in middle of your communication. So whatever you are sharing to user B, the attacker can see. So if you are sharing the data in the plain text, which is you can see plain text is like the test which you can simply read, like you are sharing hi, and let's say you are sharing the password 12345. If you're sharing like this, so attacker can easily read it because this is the plain text, right? To user B. So here we are this is a violation of confidentiality because we are just violating the law, or we can say the concept of confidentiality, which is the attacker can easily read your data. If someone is sitting in the middle of your communication and some other communication, some receiver or sender, then he or she can see anything. So this is why we are ensuring the confidentiality, which is no one can read or understand your data except the authorized user, which is user B or A. Okay, so here we are ensuring that no one can read or understand your data. So for example, you can encrypt your data. What is encryption? That we will discuss later. Okay, but for now, it is a concept. CIA is a concept here, which is we are ensuring here. We are ensuring the confidentiality, we are ensuring the integrity, and we are ensuring the availability. In the confidentiality, no one can read or understand your data. Then integrity is like, let's say again, you are sharing, there is a user B, A, and user B. Now let's say you are sharing the message hi to user B. Now let's say there's a attacker sitting in the middle again, okay, in between the user A and user B. So now user A, let's say the user is sharing the hi to user B. Now let's say user A modifies your message in the middle. Let's say you are sharing hi and the attacker modifies it to bye and share it. Now you can see at the receiver side, receiver is sharing the hi, but in the middle, the attacker modifies the message hi to the bye and share and forward to the B. So this means the attacker is modifying the message in the middle without your knowledge and without your receiver's knowledge, right? So the sender is sending and the attacker modifies the message in the middle, and this is the unauthorized modification, right? Unauthorized alteration of the message. So this is we are violating the integrity. So basically, in the integrity, we are ensuring that no one can modify a message in the middle, or no one can modify or modify like no one can apply or modify the message, or we can say unauthorized modification. Okay, So except the like authorized user. So A and B, they both are the authorized user, right? But attacker is an unauthorized user. So whenever you are transmitting from A to B, so there's an attacker who is sitting in the middle of A and B, and he or she is modifying your messages, whatever you are sharing. So that is the violation of integrity, which is we are not ensuring the security here. There's no security here because anyone come and modifying your message, and anyone can forward it to your receiver. So that is it is a totally a violation of security. Okay. So in the integrity, we are ensuring that no one can modify your data. Availability is like we are ensuring that your data should be available for authorized user at any time without latency. Which means, let's say there's a server. Let's say you are a cloud provider. Okay. You are a cloud provider vendor. And let's say this is a server. And let's say you are providing any kind of resources. Okay. Let's say you are providing any kind of resources. You are providing any kind of services. Okay, and let's say by any reason your server is attacked by any attacker. Now your server is down. Okay, like means your server is now taken offline. So this means now user cannot access the resources. The user which is sitting or the user which is accessing your resources now no more can access the resources because your server is down now or your server is taken offline because of any kind of attack. So this is the violation of availability. Means your resources, whatever you are providing to your customers, whatever you are providing it to your consumers, and now that is no longer available. So this is totally the violation of availability, right? So in this case, what we are ensuring in the availability that your data or whatever services you are providing, that should be available for everyone. Okay, first that should be available for everyone. Second, for of course for the authorized user, and second, in the given period of time, means your data should be available at any given time. And third, your data should be available without any latency. Okay, without any latency means without any disruption of the in the transmission of data. So that is availability. So here we are ensuring that data should be available for all the authorized user. Okay, at any given period of time without any latency. Okay, without any delay, we can say. So this is the three basic pillar of cybersecurity which we have to ensure. Okay. So whatever security you are applying, whatever security method you are using, whatever security protocol, whatever security strategy you are following, this is all about CIA trade only. CIA trade is the base of cybersecurity. Without CIA, you cannot, forward your security. You cannot apply the security because CIA is the base. So whenever you are applying the security, just remember this base security, which is CIA. This is you have to ensure at any cost. Okay, this is the foundational concept of cybersecurity. So let's read the definition, which is confidentiality is information has not been disclosed to unauthorized user. Okay, means your information should not be disclosed to any unauthorized user. Okay. Integrity is like information has not been modified or altered without proper authorization. And third is availability, which is information is able to be stored, accessed, or protected at all times, which is all about your data should be available at any time. Okay. And it would be accessible by anyone, any authorized user at any given time without any delays. Okay, that is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So these are the pillars of cybersecurity. So next we have trade. See, CIA trade is the security approach. Now DAD trade is the violation of the CIA trade. DAD, which is disclosure, denial, disclosure, alteration, and denial, is the violation of CIA trade. Okay, it is the violation, or we can say it is opposite to CIA trade. Okay, which is first disclosure means in the disclosure it is like an exposure of your information, exposure of a sensitive or critical information to unauthorized individuals, otherwise known as data loss. Right. So that is disclosure. Means your data here we are it is the violation of confidentiality. Means your data is now available to every unauthorized user. This means your data can be understand or can be read by anyone. Let's say you are sharing the password, you are sharing some important data of your company. Now anyone can read your data. So that is disclosure of your information, which is also known as data loss or data leak, right? So now anyone can read your data, anyone can understand your data. So that is disclosure of information. And that is totally the violation of confidentiality. Okay. So it is a violation of the principle of confidentiality, which is now your data is available to everyone. That is disclosure. Then we have alteration, which is like now everyone can modify your data. So this is the violation of integrity. So in the integrity, what we are ensuring? In the integrity, we are ensuring that data should not be modified, right? We are ensuring that no one can modify your data. But in the alteration, your data is modified by someone else or by via unauthorized access or unauthorized user. So alteration is the violation of the principle of integrity, where you can say that anyone can modify your data. Okay, that is violation. Now denial. Denial is the unintended disruption of the authorized user's legitimate access to information, which is like this is a violation of the principle of availability, which is like your data is now not available at any time, or we can say now there's a disruption in your data. Okay, like whatever the resources you are providing, there's a disruption here, there's a latency here, and your data is not accessible by the authorized user as well. So that is denial. Denial is like it is the violation of the principle of availability. So in the availability, what we are ensuring that your data should be available at any time for the authorized user without latency. And in the denial, we are ensuring like it is like a violation of the principle of availability, where your data is not available for the authorized user. Okay, for whatever reason. Okay, and there's a latency also, like there's a delay in your transmission of data for any reason, etc. That is denial. Okay. See, whenever we talk about the cyber security or information security, there's three things we have to mention here. See, cybersecurity, information security is not all about attacking, or it is not about protecting the from attackers, right? So what when we think about like cybersecurity or information security, we have an image of protecting the data or protecting the company from from the attackers. So that is that is okay. It is the part of the cybersecurity. Information security or cybersecurity, it is all about protecting the data from the attackers first. Okay, which is first from the attackers. Second, it is protecting the data from the human error, or we can say oversight. So we are protecting the data. Let me write again. Sorry for my handwriting. Yeah. Which is from the attacker, or we can say from the attacker or from the attacks. Secondly, we are protecting the data from the human error, or we can say oversight. And third, from the natural disasters. If you are ensuring these three phases of the security, then we can say your data is not fully secured. Okay, which is we are protecting data from the attackers. That is fine. But also we have to protect your data from the human error, which is from the human error. For example, let's say any employee while mistakenly modifies your data. Let's say there's a database administrator. The database administrator is the one who manages the data, who's the admin of the database. And let's say by mistake, the database administrator reveal the username password, or by mistakenly he or she modifies any data inside our database. So that is human error, that we cannot say it is an attack from the database administrator itself for the company. We cannot say that it is just a human error or any oversight. So that is also the part of the cyber security. Okay. And third one is protecting the data, protecting the infrastructure, protecting the information system from the natural disasters. For example, flood, earthquakes, and pandemics, etc. That is natural disasters. Okay. So whenever we are, talking about cybersecurity or information security, we have to take these three phrases together. We cannot say if we are thinking of cybersecurity, we cannot say that protecting the data from the attacker is the only thing we have to concern about. No, protecting the data from the attackers, that is also protecting from the human error, that is also, and protecting from the natural disaster. So you have to take these three things together in the information security. Let's say you are any like let's say you are the security analyst or any security professional in any company. So in that company, the responsibility of yours is to protect the data from the attackers also. Your responsibility is also the protection of from human error, from oversights, and from the natural disasters. That is important. Okay. So whenever you are talking about, just remember these 3 points for the examination as well. Okay. Just increase your, broaden your perspective. Increase the perspective of cybersecurity. That's it. So cybersecurity is all about protecting the data from the attackers or attacks. Second, from the human errors that is caused by any employee, any customers as well. So you have to be prepared always about the human error or about any oversight, because you cannot throw your employees, right? Employees are dumb, but you cannot throw them, right? They can make mistake. They can even make large mistake. They can even make mistake in terms of any security, in terms of any data, anything. So you have to be prepared for the human error as well, and you have to be prepared for the natural disaster that is not in your hand, right? So you have to prepare for the natural disasters as well. So for that, we have certain plans, we have certain strategies that we will discuss. Okay. But the thing is, just remember these 3 points. Okay. So that is now DAD trade, which is disclosure and which is deny and alteration. Now we have one more concept here, which is security, or we can say security breaches or data breach. So basically, security incidents we can say occur when an organization experiences a breach of the confidentiality or of the integrity or of the availability of information or information system. Now, these incidents may occur uh, as a result of any attacks, as a result of any human error, or as a result of any natural disaster. Okay, it can be anything. So that is the part of the data breach. Breach is all about violation of the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Why the help with the result of the attack or human error or any natural disaster. Okay. So these are the basic part of the security. Okay. So information security, information system security, CIA trade, and DAD trade, data breaches, and what involves in the information security. Okay. Then we have risk categories. So basically, when we talk about security, or when we talk about impact of security incidents, like what is the impact of the security incidents over the company? What are the risks? So basically, we have categorized risk in some parts. First, we have financial risk. Financial risk, as the name implies, the risk of monetary damage to the organization as the result of a data breach, which is the company having the financial risk of any incident. For example, let's take an example. Your data. Let's say you are the owner of Amazon. Okay, now Amazon stores your details, right? Amazon stores your payment details. Amazon stores your shopping details, right? Amazon stores your username, password details, etc. Now, if someone breaches the data of Amazon, so that would be the financial loss for the Amazon company, because the data, the user data, which is the most critical data, which involves the username, passwords of the accounts, the payment details like the credit card number, the bank numbers and the address of the users, the phone numbers of the user, that is now in the hands of the attacker, right? That is the data breach. And now Amazon can have the financial risk in that case, because first the Amazon has to pay the penalty, okay, and secondly the customers of the Amazon is now no longer trust the Amazon company because of that data breach. So that is also the financial loss of the Amazon. Okay, so we can say this is the financial loss for the Amazon, or we can say financial risk for this company. So financial risk is anything which is related to your monetary value, okay, or any monetary damage to the organization as the result of any data breach. Second way, reputational risk occurs when the negative publicity surrounding a security breaches causes the loss of goodwill among customers, employees, suppliers, and other stakeholders. So that is also, let's take that similar example. There's a Amazon company. Now the Amazon company, let's say there's a data breach takes place in the Amazon company. Now the customers of the Amazon, or the stakeholders, the suppliers, or the employees of the Amazon will no longer trust the Amazon company. Okay, because of that data breach. So what we can say? We can say that Amazon is not responsible for the data for its security, right? Because there's a large data breach even in the company like Amazon. So we can clearly say as a customer, even I would say that the Amazon is not responsible for the user data, and the Amazon is not even responsible for its security or for its customer security. So now instead of using Amazon, I will use the Flipkart, right? There are like various alternatives for the Amazon. So whether I will use Flipkart for that. So the reputational risk is also there for the Amazon company because of that same data breach. So that is reputational risk when there's a decline in the like customers, or when there's a negative publicity of any company because of any incident, that is known as the reputational risk. Then we have strategic risk, which is the risk that an organization will become less effective in meeting its major goals and objectives as a result of data breach. That is also obvious. For example, let's take an example of Amazon. Now, instead of using now Amazon, from the next time, I will use Flipkart, right? So now there's a decline of the in the like customers of the Amazon. So there's a decline. Now, let's say there's a decline of 50% of the customers. So this is the strategic risk. So the Amazon now no longer, like fulfill its objective, no longer meet its goal because of that same data breach. So that is strategic risk when the company faces the risk in terms of its goals, in terms of its objectives, and no longer, fulfill its that goal and that objectives efficiently. Okay, that is strategic risk. Then we operational risk is the risk to the organization's ability to carry out its day-to-day functions. For example, let's take an example again. Let's say this is an Amazon company. Now, inside the Amazon company, we have multiple systems. Let's say we have multiple systems, we have multiple servers, right? So let's say the Amazon, there's a data breach, plus there's a DOS attack. What is a DOS attack? It is a denial of service attack. Denial of service attack. Denial of service attack is a attack where the attacker like taking attack the server of the company, mainly the server and the systems of the company, and the attacker floods the that system and the server with the lots of requests. And if there's a high traffic, or if there's a lots of requests, let's say there's a server and the capacity of the server is to handle 100 requests. Okay, let's say per minute or per second, we can say anything. So let's say there's a server and the capacity of the server is to handle 100 requests per minute. But there's an attacker here sitting, and this attacker is sharing, let's say 10,000 requests per minute. So what will happen is next is that the server will taken offline because of this numerous requests at the same time. Right. This is known as denial of service attack, which is you are taking down the server, you are attacking the server so that the server is no longer available for the users, no longer available for the customers. So that is the main purpose of DOS attack, which is denial of service attack, which is the main purpose is you are taking down the server by sending numerous requests at the same time, which is like out of capacity of the server. Okay, for example, here let's say the server is handling 100 requests. Now you as an attacker or any attacker is sharing 10,000 requests, like double, triple requests at the same time. So this will make the server to taken offline because server is no longer handle can no longer handle these requests. Okay, so let's say Amazon company, let's say you are attacking the DOS, the attacker is applying the DOS attack or any kind of attack, and all the systems of the Amazon are now taken offline. So now in that case, now the Amazon will not able to perform its day-to-day activities. Okay, because those systems are needed for performing the daily operations, but the attacker damages the system or the attacker damages the servers or systems. So in this case, the Amazon will not able to perform its daily operations. And that is known as the operational risk, where the attacker or where any incident is disrupting the day-to-day operations of any company. Okay, that is operational risk. And then we have compliance risk, which is like occurs when a security breach causes an organization to run for all legal or regulatory requirements. Where we are violating here, in compliance risk is like where uh, there's a there's a we are going against the law or standard, or the company is not able to ensure the law. For example, let's take the example of Amazon again. So see, if there's a data breach in the Amazon company, right? So I think you have heard of this standard. This is a standard known as PCI DSS. PCI stands for Payment Card Details. Like this is the standard, and this standard ensures that your data, which is your payment data only, okay, means your payment details. For example, your credit card numbers, your debit card numbers, your postcards numbers, your every payment details. So it should be secure, like in any company. For example, now you are trusting Amazon, right? You are purchasing everything. You are purchasing freely. You are putting your information. You are putting your payment details without any concern. Now Amazon, now now Amazon is storing your data, right? The Amazon is storing the payment data, which is the payment details of the customers. So in that case, the Amazon should follow this standard, that is PCI DSS. It is compulsory. Amazon will like it is like compulsory for the Amazon that it will like ensure the PCI DSS standard, which is like we are ensuring the payment details. Like whatever the payment we are storing, that should be secure at every state, like at rest, in motion, and in transmission. Okay. So basically, here we are ensuring in the Amazon, even Amazon itself is ensuring this PCI DSS standard, which is payment card details information. So, and this standard is the only standard which is the most popular also, and it ensures your payment details. It protects your payment details in any company. For example, there's a company like Flipkart or Amazon Prime. These all are storing your payment details as well. So they will follow this standard. And if there's a violation against this standard, and that violation or that risk is known as compliance risk. Because compliance means there's a rule, there's a standard, and there's a law. Okay, we can say. Now, excuse me. Now, when we are ensuring the, what we can say, when we are ensuring the PCI DSS, then we can say there's no compliance risk. But when there's a violation against PCI DSS, which is the data breach, then we can say there's a compliance risk. And compliance risk means that you have if there's a violation against PCI DSS in your company, no matter how, it can be any attack, it can be because of any human error, it can be because of any natural disaster, it can be anything. We cannot say that. So now you have to face the prosecution for that. You have to answer in the court. Okay, and the court will take legal actions against you. Okay, for example, they will the legal the court will fill your company with the penalties. You have to pay the penalties to the court, to the customers, etc. So that is compliance risk. So you have to pay the penalties. You have to answer in the court. like why this incident even happened, and why are you not responsible, etc. So that is compliance risk, where you have to face the legal authorities like the higher court or etc. Whatever is in your countries. Okay, so that is compliance risk, where you are where there's a violation against any law, any standard of the country, of the nation, or we can say of the company as well. Okay, like for example, PCI DSS, so which is used to ensure your payment details, but because of the data breach, the payment details of the user is now in the hands of the attacker. Means there's a data leak. So now you are no longer ensuring the PCI DSS. So there's a violation against PCI DSS, and which is also known as compliance risk. So we have these risks in any company. Now, in some cases, these risks can arise at the same time. For example, financial risk and reputational risk can be, have can arise at the same time. For example, if there's a data breach in the Amazon, so there's a financial risk, as well as there's a reputational risk, as well as there's a strategic risk, as well as there's a compliance risk. So we are facing four risks at the same time. So it depends on the impact of the attack. Okay, it totally depends on the impact of the attack. What is the impact of the attack? Okay, so risk can be arise in the combination also, and risk in these risks can be like arise individually also. So it can be anything which is totally depends on the impact of the attack. Like what is the uh you know what is the actual impact of the attack on the company. So these are the risk categories. So I hope this much is clear. So is there anything anyone wants to ask up to here? Any doubt? Any questions? Okay. Then we have security control categories. So what kind of security control we can take? So these are also divided into categories. So first category is technical controls, which enforce confidentiality, integrity, availability, digital space. So we are technically securing the data or securing the company, which is like technical controls are all about securing the systems. For example, securing the systems by finding the vulnerabilities, okay, updating the systems, fixing the vulnerabilities, etc. And in the technical controls, mainly what we are ensuring again confidentiality, integrity, and availability in the digital space. Okay, basically only digitally. Second, operational controls, which is like include the processes that we put in place to manage technology in a secure manner, which is like operational controls, where we are including the processes that we put in place. Uh, One second. I'm just coming in 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Now we can continue. So operational controls are like where we are putting the processes together to protect the company or protect the security systems. This is like operational controls are more like where we are ensuring the protection of the systems, protection of the servers, so that we can perform our day-to-day operations, as well as we can manage the technology which contains our information. Okay. Then we have managerial controls are procedural mechanism that focuses on the mechanics of the risk management process. So here, um, we have a concept here which is risk management. So risk management is all about managing the risk of the company, not that business risk. We are not talking about any business risk, like how much profit or loss we will have, not that risk, but the security risk here. Like security risk is like how much risk do we have in our company, like how much chance, how much like there's a chance of the data breach, how much there's a chance of any DOS attack. So that is the risk here we are calculating. So risk management itself is a whole topic or the concept that we will discuss later in the Conscious Security Plus. But for now, just remember that risk management is all about analyzing the risk, which is only the security risk, analyzing the security risk and fixing the, or we can say reducing the risk. Okay, that is risk management. So which is first analyzing the risk, like how much risk is there and how much there's a chance of data breach, how much there's a chance of DOS attack, how much there's a chance of this attack, etc. So that is risk analysis and risk reduction, or we can say reducing the risk, which is all about reducing the impact of the risk. Okay, that we will discuss later. Okay, so that is risk management, which is like analyzing and fixing the risk, which is only the security risk. So managerial controls are all about the risk management, which is like procedural mechanism that mainly focus on the risk management processes, like how to perform this risk management, what are the parts in risk management, what actually involves in the risk management, etc. That we will discuss later. But for now, we have three categories, or we can say security control categories, like how we can control the security or how we can apply the security. Okay. So we can apply the technical controls, like we can apply confidentiality. For example, we are securing the data in the digital form. For example, like by applying the encryption, by applying anything like any security mechanism, but it is digitally. And operational is like we are protecting the or managing the security systems. Okay, so that we can perform our day-to-day activities, or we can perform the operations of the company, or we can also ensure the technical controls as well. Okay, and then we have managerial controls, which is like protecting or managing the risk management phases. Okay, that we will discuss later. But for now, risk management is the process of risk analysis and risk reduction. Risk analysis is all about identifying the risk, which is only the security risk, and then managing the same, just managing or reducing the risk. So that is security controls categories. Then we have security control types. So basically, we have different security control types. Yeah. So first we have preventive controls. So preventive controls is like intend to stop issue before it occurs. So for example, like as we said, prevention is better than cure. So it is all also like we can apply in the security, which is we are just applying the prevention mechanism so that we can avoid the attacks. That is prevention. For example, for avoiding the attack, you are updating your systems. For avoiding the attack, you are applying the secure password. For avoiding the attacks, you are applying the firewalls. For avoiding the attacks, you are applying the other security mechanism. So prevention is like we are applying the higher security mechanism to avoid any kind of attack in the near future. Okay, that is preventive controls. For example, firewalls and encryption are example of preventive controls. Then we have detective controls, which is like identifying the security that have already occurred. Okay, like IDS are the detective controls. Like if there's a data breach in the company, then we can then now we are identifying that there's a data breach. If there's a DOS attack, then we are now identifying, okay, there's a DOS attack in this server. So identifying means it is all like it is totally like identifying a security event. Okay, any security incident that have already occurred. Then we have corrective controls, which is like immediate security issues that have already occurred. Restoring like backups after a ransomware attack is an example of corrective control. So corrective controls are like, now we are making the correction. Let's say now you have identified, okay, there's a data breach in my system. Let's say someone's apply the username password and able to enter into your system. So now you can notice there's a data breach, or we can say there's a uh, data like data leak of your username or password. Like now the attacker knows your username or password, and he or she can now gain access. Let's say, let's take an example here. Let's say you all are using, let's say, Instagram. Now any attacker knows your username password of your Instagram or any Facebook, any social media. Now this is the detective controls, because now you identified that someone login into your account, some unauthorized user login into your account. That is detective controls. You have identified that there's an attack. In the corrective, now you are changing the username password, or you are changing the password only, or now you are applying the two-step verification or OTP verification, etc. That is the corrective controls. Okay, like you are now taking the actions to minimize or to restore the your own account. That is corrective controls. Okay, which is like taking the actions to correct that security issue. Okay, for example, restoring the backup after a ransomware attack is an example of corrective control. So what is this ransomware attack is? See, ransomware attack is a kind of attack. Let's discuss this one. See, let's say there's a data. Let's say you have your system, and inside your system you have multiple files, you have multiple directories, right? You have your data. Okay, for example, in the system, let me show you. Um, here you can see you have the drives. Here I have Acer, I have C drive, D drive, and E drive. So inside my C drive, I have this much data. Inside my E drive, I have this much data. Okay, so I have data inside my system. So if someone's encrypt your data, okay, let's say for example, any attacker encrypts your data. Encrypts is like convert your data in the form that you cannot read it. Okay, converting the data in the form that the user cannot read it. That is encrypt the data. So any attacker encrypts your data so that you cannot able to now read your data, access your data. Okay, that is ransomware attack. And in place of your data, the attacker is asking for the ransom. What is this ransom? It is a kind of monetary value, or it is a kind of money value. Okay, that is known as ransomware. So now in replace your data, in place of your data, the attacker is asking for some ransom, which is a money in place of your data. If you pay the money, then your data will be the attacker will provide a key to restore your data. And if you are not paying the money or the ransom, then your data, the attacker will remove all your data. So that is a kind of ransomware attack. We will discuss this in later in detail. So this is just an overview that if your data is now, let's say if there's a ransom attack in your system, then your data is now it's now encrypted. Means you as the owner of your data cannot access your own data, right? Means you as the owner of the data is now you no longer able to access your own data. That is ransomware attack. And in even in place of your data, you have to pay for your own data. Okay, that is also ransomware attack. Okay, so in the corrective controls, if your data is now in control of the attacker, then you can just and if you don't want to pay, and also if you have the backup of your data, okay, then you can restore your data without paying to the attacker. Okay, that is also the corrective controls. Okay, then we have deterrent controls, which is like seek to prevent an attack from attempting to violate security policies. Okay, for example, which is guard dogs and barbed fire wire fences are example of deterrent control. Means we are like avoiding the attack. Okay, you are just preventing the attacker from attacking your company. For example, let's say there's a chance of any let's say any brute force attack, or let's say there's a chance of any attacker can take over your account. For example, you have you have find out that your friend have your password, your Instagram or any social media password. Now you have to change your password so that your friend cannot able to access your account. Okay. So in that case, you will change your password. So that is the example of deterrent attacks, sorry, control, where you are just preventing the attacker from attacking your company or attacking your account or attacking anything. Okay. For example, you are putting the wire fences uh, in your company so that no one can enter into the company. You can you are like you are having the bodyguards, you are having the dogs, so that no unauthorized user can access into your premises. Okay, that is deterrent controls. So basically, it is similar to preventive controls, but we have two categories here. Okay, preventive and deterrent. So it is some like same, but the difference in the preventive is we are taking the precautions to avoid the attack, and in the deterrent we are like preventing the attacker from attacking the company. Basically, they both sounds like same only, but there's a difference. Okay, so just if you can see the example for that. Then with physical controls, so physical controls are like security controls that impact the physical world. Okay. For example, physical security controls like fences, CCTV cameras, perimeter lighting locks, etc. For example, you are applying the physical controls in your company. Uh, let's say, uh, let's say there's a chance of any unauthorized user can access into your premises or can enter into your premises. Right. So in that case, you are applying the fingerprint sensors. You are applying the access card lock. For example, if the person have that access card, can only enter into the premises. That is physical control. Okay, you are applying the physical control so that only the authorized user can access into the company. Or if there's a chance of fire, then you are applying the fire suppression systems. And if there's a chance of any let's say anything, so you are applying that physical security. So it is only in terms of physical. Okay, mainly it contains the fences, it contains the bodyguards, it contains the guards, it contains the fingerprint sensors, the access card, the CCTV cameras, etc. Then we compensating controls are controls designed to mitigate the risk associated with expectations made to a security policy. So that is like we are taking the control for mitigating the any risk associate with the expectation made to a policy, security policy. For example, we have taken the example of Amazon, right? In the Amazon, we have taken the example of PCI DSS. So PCI DSS is a security standard, right? And if your company unable to, fulfill the objective of PCI DSS, then then the company or the court will charge you for will charge the penalty for that. Okay, it is obvious. They will charge the lots of penalty from your company because you are violating the law. Even somehow your company just violating the law, or we can say the standard. Okay, that is now in that case you have to compensate that. Okay, if for example, you are now taking the insurance. Okay, that is known as compensating controls against a security policy. Now you are taking the insurance, like they're like security insurance as well. Now you have taken the insurance before an incident, like you have taken the insurance in the starting phase of your company. Okay, now if you have the insurance of that security policy or again, so that now the company, if there's a data breach in your company, so the penalty have to pay by that insurance company only, not your company. Okay, that is why we have insurance. Okay, for backupping in these situations. So insurance, you are purchasing insurance for your security policy. That is known as compensating controls. Okay, so these are the controls we have in the security control types. So first we have preventive, detective, corrective, etc. So now we have data protection. So how we can protect data? So this is the concept we have already discussed. So security professionals spend significant amounts of their time focusing on the protection of sensitive data. So as we think through data protection technique, it's helpful to consider the three stages where data might exist: data at rest, data in motion, and data in processing, which is while your data at rest. So while in the hard drives, in the tapes, in the clouds, in the other storage media like USB, etc. Data in motion is like It's data that is transit over network. This is like when we are transmitting data from one place to another. And then data in processing, or we can say data in use, which is like is data that is actively in use by a computer system. That's data in processing. So we can also say that data in processing or data in use. Okay, or data in motion also. Okay, or we can say data in motion also, the data in transit. So we can say anything. Mean that you just know the difference in these data. Okay. So data at rest is like whenever when we are applying the protection. Okay, we are providing the protection of the data when it is in any storage. Just when the data is at rest, and then data in motion whenever we are transmitting data from one place to another over the network, and then data in processing, which is like data that is actively is used by your computer. Like your data is in your RAM memory, or data is in other memories of the systems. Okay, so this we have already discussed. So whenever we are applying the security in the data, so we have to ensure that we have to secure the data in these three stages, which is data at rest, in motion, and in like processing or in use. Then last we have data encryption and data loss preventive. So data encryption is like encryption technology uses mathematical algorithm to protect information system from prying eyes, both while it is in transit over a network or while it resides on your systems. So basically, encryption is the process of converting the plain text into ciphertext. Okay. So encryption is the process of converting the plain text into ciphertext. What is this plain text? Let's say you are sharing hi, and now you're converting this plain text into the form that no one can understand. Let's say you are converting this in form. Now you can see no one can understand this form, but this is all about ciphertext, and this is known as ciphertext, the form which no one can understand. Okay, so here you have the plain text, and now you're converting the plain text into ciphertext. That is known as encryption. And what's decryption? Converting your ciphertext back into the plain text. Okay, let's say we have this one. Let's say we have the ciphertext. Now you are converting your ciphertext back into the plain text so that the user can able to read it. Okay, only the authorized user can able to read it. That's the data encryption. When we are converting the plain text into ciphertext, and what is decryption? And what is decryption? Which is like converting your ciphertext back into the plain text. Okay, this is known as encryption and decryption. So we are applying the encryption and decryption in while we are transmitting data from one place to another. Let's say you are sharing the hi to your user B. Okay, now you are encrypting your message. Okay, let's say you are applying the encryption. For example, let's say you are sharing the user A is sharing the data to user B. Let's say the user A is sharing hi. And now the user A apply the encryption here. Let's say that now the data become this one. Your hi become this one. And this will transfer to user B. And let's say there's an attacker sitting in the middle. Okay, there's an attacker. Now let's say the attacker able to check what you are sharing. Now the attacker will get this data, not this data. So the attacker will get the ciphertext. Now attacker will not able to understand what is this. Okay, this is some random character here. Okay, so the attacker cannot able to understand what is this. So there's no use of the attacker is like if the attacker is sitting in the middle, so it will not harm you and your receiver because now your data is encrypted, which is no one can read your data except the intended user. Okay, and you transfer your data from user A to user B. Now at user B will receive this data, which is by like this ciphertext here. Now user will decrypt your data, which is in high only. So user A and user B can only understand the data, and no one else cannot understand your data, which is attacker. So if the attacker is sitting in the middle, and if the attacker able to intercept your request or intercept your responses, then he or she will not able to understand your request or responses or your data because it is now encrypted. So that is known as data encryption. So data encryption is a part of cryptography only. So we have a like module in the in this security plus exam about cryptography. So we will understand how this data encryption works, what is the mechanism of that, how it basically works, how we apply the encryption, how we or the user decrypt your messages, etc. So we will discuss that in detail. Okay, but for now, just understand the meaning of data encryption. Then we have data loss prevention, which is data loss prevention systems help organization enforce the information handling policies and procedures to prevent data loss and theft. Okay, that is data loss prevention. So in this data loss prevention, we are ensuring that the like we are helping or we are ensuring as an organization, I'm ensuring that the data there's a backup for the data. Like if there's a loss, let's say if let's say we have to create a policy or we have to enforce any policy or anything, any procedure, any strategy, any idea, any baseline, any guideline for preventing the data loss or for minimizing the effect of data loss or any theft, which is data breach only. So we are minimizing the loss of minimizing, or we are just preventing the data loss or data leak or data breach. That is known as data loss prevention. So data loss prevention also is all about the we are taking the initiatives for protecting our data from the data breaches. Okay, that is also known as data loss prevention. So how this works? So DLP systems works in two different environments. First, host based and second, network based. Host based is like logically and network is like physically. Okay. So host based DLP uses software agents installed on systems that search those systems for the presence of sensitive information. Okay. So host based is like we are using the softwares for protecting the systems, which is installed inside a system for preventing the data loss. For example, you are installing the antivirus, you are taking a data backup. So that is the host-based example. You are storing your data in the cloud facilities, etc. That is host-based DLP. Okay, which is like installed in your systems that search those systems for the presence of sensitive information. Which is like, let's say you apply the DLP, this host-based DLP in your environment, in your company's environment. Now that host-based DLP will search for the systems that contain the sensitive information. Okay, and then you can able to protect it. Also, we can also say it contains the antiviruses also in some other software also. Okay, that is DLP, where the companies, the DLP systems are checking for the systems which contain the sensitive or critical information so that we can find out which systems contain sensitive information and then we can take the initiatives to control those systems. Then a network DLP, which is systems are dedicated devices that sit on the network and monitor outbound network traffic, watching for any transmissions that contain unencrypted sensitive information. So uh, let's say this one is a network. Okay. Now inside a network, you have multiple devices. Okay, let's say your device number one, two, three. So let's say there's another device. Okay, let's say this one. And this one is a network based DLP, let's say. Okay, it is a network based DLP. So now this system will look for this system will monitor each and everything. Like this system will monitor each and every network traffic. Okay. So this system will monitor your network traffic and whichever, let's say this system is like transmitting data via unencrypted channel. Let's say this system is communicating with the server. Okay. Now let's say this system is communicating with the server and now this server and this system both are using the unencrypted channel. Okay. Unencrypted channel. So which means your data is transmitting in a plain text. Like when whatever you're transmitting, let's say you're transmitting high. So these are transmitting in the plain text. So if this is transmitting in the plain text, then anyone can check it. Anyone, let's say there's attacker sitting in the middle of your this PC and the server. Now this attacker can able to check everything. Now this attacker can able to see all your message, all your passwords, everything. So this the purpose of this network-based DLP is to monitor which PC is using the unencrypted channel for communicating. Okay, let's say if this PC is using the unencrypted channel for communicating, then DLP will inform or notify the user or the owner of that network that this system is using the unencrypted channel. So please encrypt this channel for the security purpose. Okay, that is known as network-based DLP. So network-based DLP is all about it is checking for your for the network traffic, and whichever user or whichever system is using the encrypted data, sorry, unencrypted channel, then the network DLP will notify the user. Okay, then your DLP systems also have two mechanism of action, like how this DLP systems works. So first, this works on the basis of pattern matching, and second, watermarking. Pattern matching is like identifying the signs of sensitive information. For example, let's say you are sharing the information via mail ID. Let's say you are sharing the credit card information. So there's a sign of credit cards, like for example, there's a credit card number. Let's say 5678 dot xxx, like this one. Right? This is a credit card number, like, or we can say this is a format of the credit card numbers, or like similar to this. Now, this is a sign. So, by this sign, the user or the DLP systems identify which one is sensitive information and which one is not the sensitive information. Okay. For example, let's say I am sharing any useless message. Let's say hi. Now, this one is not a sensitive message because it is a simple message. Let's say I'm sharing the password. Let's say I type pass 12345. Now, this is a sensitive information, and this is how the DLP identify with the help of this pass colon 12345. So this is a password. So this is pattern matching, which is like we are checking for the sensitive information. We're identifying the patterns which is related to sensitive information. For example, username, passwords, credit card numbers, etc. Second, we have watermarking. So watermarking where systems or administrators apply electronic tags to sensitive documents, and then DLP systems then monitor systems and network for unencrypted content containing those tags. Okay, watermarking is all about, for example, let's say there's an image of Adobe. Okay, Adobe. Okay, so now there's an image which is created by the Adobe Reader or Adobe Photoshop or anything. Now there's a watermark of Photoshop, or there's a watermark of Adobe company. Now, if any unauthorized user or any company is using the same watermark or using the company or the pictures of the company which is watermarked by Adobe, then there's a warning there, because like any unauthorized company or any unauthorized user is using the data of the data of any other company. So there will be the copyright issue, right? Because you are now we are now we can say without purchasing, we are using the images which contain the watermark of Adobe or any other watermark. So this is the issue. Okay, so this is watermarking technique which we usually use, but it is it is not we basically use in the DLP systems, but it is we sometimes use, like in the Adobe companies we use, in other companies like which contains a watermarking or which contains a copyright issues. So we can use there, but in the real systems or in the some companies where we don't need to don't need to use about the watermarking system. So in that case we don't use. So it is not compulsory that we only use two mechanism. We have many more mechanism in the DLP. Okay, so that we will discuss later. So it's all about like what kind of scenario we are using the DLP. Okay, if we're using DLP in finding the sensitive information, then we can use pattern matching. If we are using the like finding any watermarking or any copyright issue, then we can use watermarking like mechanism here. So it depends on the scenario where we are using, or for what kind of information we are using that systems. Okay. So this is known as DLP systems. Then we have data minimization, which is like data minimization techniques seek to reduce risk by reducing the amount of sensitive information that we maintain on a regular basis. So here basically we are reducing the amount of sensitive information that we maintain on a regular basis. For example, hashing. Hashing uses a hash function to transfer a value in our dataset to a corresponding hash value. Then where tokenization replaces the sensitive values with a unique identifier using a lookup table. Then we're masking, which is partially redacts the sensitive information by replacing some of or all sensitive fields with the blank characters. For example, data minimization is like we are reducing the complexity or the sensitivity of the data. Okay, mainly we can say criticality or sensitivity of the data. For example, there's a credit card number, let's say 5678, let's say 6778. So let's say this is a credit card number. So now this data is very sensitive, right? So now you can reduce the sensitivity of data by marking it. Marking is like, let's say you marks the end characters, which is like, which becomes 7867778 and dot x and x. Now you're marking the data. Means the end values are now hidden from everyone. Okay, only the authorized user or the owner of that information can use the data or can know the entire credit card number or the last digits of the numbers of this credit card numbers. So basically, masking is like we are just replacing the value with some other character. Okay, with some other random characters, either or with some other characters, so that we can just reduce the sensitivity of data. Okay, so data minimization is a technique which we are using for reducing the like sensitivity of data, so that there's no we are just reducing the thread of the data. So there's no thread for this particular data. Okay, or and then we can use data freely without any concern, because now data is now there's a reduction of in the sensitivity of data. For example, now you can transfer this data from user A to B, or you can use this data now, because now data is no longer sensitive because of this masking technique, right? Because now we have replaced the data with this XXX, which is like now your data is now in another form, or no one can completely know your actual data. So that is masking. Then your tokenization. Tokenization is like, let's say there's a database, and your database, there's a data stored. Let's say there's a password stored. Password 12345, and there's a root to these data are stored. Okay, now you want to secure your data here inside database. Okay, that is tokenization. So now you are like securing, you have stored your data. Now in order to secure your data, see, whenever we are storing the data in the database, that is now there's a chance of any attacker can access our database, right, and can able to fetch your data, which is a real data. So tokenization is a technique which we are putting the like data. So in place of the real data, which is the passwords, we are putting the any unique value. Okay, unique identifier using a lookup table. See, for example, let's say at one side we have a database. Okay, at another side we have the lookup table. So in the lookup table, let's say we have a table here. Okay, inside table we have some. Let's say we have the password here. Let's say pass here. Um, let's say 12345 is the password. Root is the password. Let's say, and there's the ID of these passwords. Let's say unique value of these passwords. For example, let's say we can say any ID. Let's say ID is 45678, or let's say 99999. Okay, so this is the unique ID for each of a password. Now in the database, instead of storing the passwords, what we are storing the ID itself. Okay, for example, you have stored the ID here. Let's say 45678 and 9999. So now these are your real passwords now. Okay, and these are your username. Let's say we have the username here. Let's say 1234, sorry, username. Let's say username is admin, or let's say second username is let's say any username. Okay, So basically now there's a username and there's a password corresponding to your username. But now this is no longer a password. This is a ID here. If if any user, any attacker can able to fetch the data from the database. So what will that attacker get? This ID, this random numbers, and this username. Okay, username is fine, but he will not get the password, right? Because the password is now converted into a ID number because of this lookup table. So now if you want to check your password or if you want to use your own password, then you can just check a lookup table, which is your 12345 password is like for example, the ID of this password like ID is 45678 and the password is 12345. So this was is a password. So this is known as tokenization, where we are like hiding the passwords or real sensitive information with the help of a lookup table. And this is a lookup table. But yeah, there's one more thing. You have to secure this lookup table. That is important. Okay, hiding or protecting the lookup table is important. So then only we can, secure the actual data. If your lookup table is not secure, then any attacker can also access a lookup table and then it can fetch the real passwords. So that is why it is important to secure your lookup table as well. Okay. So this is known as tokenization. And then we are hashing. Hashing is like a process of converting your data into the hash values with the help of algorithms. Okay. So this is also similar to the tokenization, but in the hashing table, let's say this is your database, and inside your database, we have the passwords. Okay, and then we have the username. Let's say these are the username. For example, username is root, username is admin. Okay. And let's say there's a password. So now instead of storing the passwords, we are storing the hashes of the passwords. Let's say the password of root is 12345. Now we have the hash of this root is like anything. So the password is anything. Let's say AST like this. So this is the hash, which is the combination of hexadecimal formats like hex values, like combination of numbers or any character, or it can be only alphabets also. So it can be anything. So now this is a hash value. Let's say the password of admin is pass. Okay. So now we can generate the hash of this one. Let's say for this one. For example. Okay. So this is just an example. We don't have this like this hash. The hashes are very long. So this is just an example. So now instead of storing the real passwords, we are storing the hash value of the passwords. Okay. And there's one more thing, hashes are irreversible. Means you cannot convert your hash. Now this is the hash. Okay, now you cannot convert your hash back into the password. Okay, so you cannot convert that. If you want to check the password of this Q123, etc., this hash value, then you cannot convert this hash back into the password. This is not possible. Okay, and why this is not possible? What is the reason that we will discuss later? Okay, so the thing is, you have to understand the concept here, which is hashing is like we are just storing the hashes in place of the real data. Okay, that is hashing. Okay, which is like we are changing the real data into the hash value so that we can store it. Okay, and if someone's access your database, then in place of that password, he will get a hash value, which is of no use. Okay, that is known as data minimization. So these are the techniques we have in the data minimization, which is hashing, tokenization, and masking. Okay, so that's it about this one part. Now let's take a summary of the entire session. So first we have discussed about the what is information security and information system security. Then we have discussed about confidentiality, which is confidentiality stands for no one can read your data. Integrity stands for no one can modify your data. And availability stands for no one can, sorry, your data should be available at any time for the authorized user without any delays. Okay, then we have DAD trade, which is like opposite of CIA trade, or we can say violation of the principles of CIA trade. So disclosure is the violation of confidentiality, alteration is the violation of integrity, and denial is the violation of availability. In the disclosure, your data is disclosed to everyone. Any unauthorized user can access your data now. Alteration is like any unauthorized user can like modify your data, and denial is like your data is not available to the users, okay, to the required customers. Then your risk categories. So we have these three like risk categories: financial, reputational, strategic, operational, compliance. Then we have security control strategies categories, like we have technical controls, which we are securing the data digitally using confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Operational controls, like we are securing or we are managing the technology in a secure manner. For example, your secure your information systems, your servers, your devices, firewalls, etc. And management controls are like we are managing the risk management processes. Okay. And risk management is all about risk analysis and risk reduction. Okay, that we will discuss in a separate module. Then we have security control types. We have preventive, which is like taking the precautions before the attack. Detective is like identifying the security incident. Corrective is like correction of the security uh, incident. Deterrent is like reducing the effect or reducing or the like attack of an attacker. Okay, and or reducing the attack, or we can say the preventing the attacker from attacking as well. Okay. Then physical controls are like taking the physical initiatives to control your premises by the physical devices. And then compensating controls are like uh, having a backup or mitigating the risk of any attack, which cause the violation of any security policy. Like for example, taking the insurance of any security standard. Then your data protection, we have to protect data in three forms: data at rest, data in motion, or data in, or we can say in transit, or data in processing, which is data in use. Then we have data encryption, which is converting your data in any form which the attacker cannot understand. Even no one can understand except the intended user. Okay, means converting your data into the ciphertext with the help of mathematical algorithm and with the help of many other techniques, with the help of any symmetric or asymmetric algorithms, etc. And decryption is the process of converting your ciphertext back into the plain text. Okay, then we have data loss prevention. So in this we have how we can take the initiatives to prevent from the data loss. So we can apply we have two systems in the DLP, which is host based and network. So host will look for the systems which contain the sensitive information, and network will look for the network traffic which is unencrypted, like which system is using the unencrypted channel. Okay, and DLP has two mechanism: pattern matching and watermark. And then we have data minimization, which is like reducing the sensitivity of your data by applying the various technique like hashing or tokenization and masking. Okay, so that's it for this chapter. Okay, so is there anything anyone wants to ask?
No, that was really good. Are we gonna be able to get a copy of just kind of some of these notes or this recording just to kind of watch over again? Just to reinforce it later. But this was all pretty basic. This was all pretty intro stuff.
Yeah, these are the basics, and just make sure to just clear the basics, and then we can move to the advanced parts. Okay.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, so rest we will continue tomorrow. Okay, I will share the videos
Sounds
as well as
good.
the notes. Okay,
Sounds good. Talk to you tomorrow.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.